What is my dream tonight? Well, in front of me is a kind of a mapping. It's not a road map, but links. There are many nodes, and all these nodes are linked to each other. And they are more like a map of thinking. In other words, you need to think this before you think that, and you think that. So somehow it maps out the thinking process. Okay. But then, while I saw this map, I noticed that there were people who would kind of control this mapping. Meaning that, let's say if I were to start from node A, and I can choose to think node B, node C, node D, and after that I will have to move on to the next node and all that, as I think, right? But there are people who just simply would shift, would make me, so to speak, go to this particular node. And why is that so? Because once I move to that node, then I would think in a particular way and would never be able to move the other way. So upon waking up from this dream, I realized that, you see, the thinking process is like stepping onto nodes. So if you were to step onto A instead of B, you probably missed the track that travels along node B. You probably move along, let's say, node A and then node C and then node F or that kind of thing. You see, a person can only think one thing at a time. And this is the error of thinking. Because once you get to a particular shade of thinking and you emphasize on that area, you just simply couldn't see the other area. Yes, and that's how we enter into the trap of space-time. A person says that he can sort out his life, and he knows that this particular idea is very good for him. But the point is that it's just an idea, and an idea is only a particular shape and perspective. Once you get to that perspective, you are not able to see another perspective. And one example which I had yesterday in my last video, I was saying that if you believe in God as the most prominent source of your strength and as the creator of heaven and earth, you will probably have to realign yourself to God, the greater one. And you would, of course, in time, forget yourself, because you would think that yourself is nothing before God. So with this kind of perspective, whereby you concentrate on God alone, I would be unable to actually tell another person and say, you need to concentrate on yourself and not on God. Notice the complete change in perspective. And it's all because of the thinking process. And there are people who will tell you, oh yes, you got to put your life in focus. You got to commit yourself to God. And so all throughout their life, they will read the Holy Books. And they will never see the perspective of being themselves. But rather they will just say, I would prefer to be a better person. I would prefer to be a child of God. And I would want God to have mercy on me and love me and bring me to a better place someday. You see, that's the problem. Thoughts, you can only think one at a time. And so when you focus and commit yourself to a thought life, you discover that you are narrow-minded, so to speak. You can't open yourself to the various aspects of life. And you lose a lot that way. But of course, you don't think you're losing a lot, because when other people come to you with a different idea and thought, you immediately condemn that idea. You protect yourself from that idea. And this is why space-time is unable to save a person. Although it's your own creation, space-time is your own creation, thoughts, but you tend to live in that thought itself. The whole body begins to enter into that thought itself. And you move along in that thought in which you create. It can be very, very foolish, but we don't realize how foolish it is. Even if I'm saying to you now, you probably think I am foolish and not you. So I don't have any problem with that. I'm just only sharing myself to you. But I'm saying, and my perspective is that, you see, God and me is actually one. That's the point I'm taking. Yeah, it is not that God is a greater person, but rather God himself plays himself as the me in the first person in my life. And I am the representative, the proxy of God in this world. There is just only one reality, and that one reality opens its eyes in me. Not that I am superior, but everyone is entitled to do so. So everyone is entitled to be the creator of his own world. It's a perspective, you may say. But to my opinion, it is all that is required for living in this world. I would be wrong. Because as long as you take it as a thought, as a perspective, you are missing another thought. You see, the point is that I'm trying to stress in this video is that actually you have to enter breath. Breath is the presence before thought came into the world. You see, when you create thoughts from your breath. So if you enter breath, you enter to a nearer place within yourself. So if you are going to live your life based on thoughts or space-time, you will have to struggle with different perspectives that are taking place. And you will struggle with yourself, because yourself being a thought, you will find it being attacked by others, and therefore you defend yourself and you excel yourself in order to highlight yourself, because yourself being a thought, and you need to survive because yourself is a thought. So you have to live your life and protect yourself in a thought perspective. But there is another way of living, a way of living where you get accustomed to realize the voice that is within every thought. A way of understanding and realizing. It requires a meditation to realize that thought processes are actually breath at work, but breath within the thought. Gosh. So I sound very funny. I sound very mischievous. Yeah, but that's the only way. And how to enter to the breath of the thought? You have to follow my videos, because I do not know how to express it in one simple language. That's right. So that to me is a key to salvation. You see, nobody is going to save me. Nobody. I am myself the Savior. Because if you read the Torah, it says, I, the Lord, am your Savior, and there's none. I know of none besides me. So I alone can save myself if I want to. But to save myself, I've got to be myself. and not think of who I am, and not think that I should be a better person, and not feel that I need to describe myself as a child of God. This is the most difficult aspect of discovering my me. Because I'm descriptionless. How do you describe me? I'm descriptionless. And how do you get to know me if you are descriptionless? You can only know me when you lived in the breath. Yeah. You need to live in the breath, not talk breath. You need to live in the breath and not just philosophize breath. So that's the hard thing. If it had been easy, the holy books would have made it clear to everybody. If it had been easy, there would be no need for a parable. The Torah is full of parables, and so is the Buddhist text, the sutras. But somehow when we don't understand the truth and only see the world as a thought, we see it in our own perspective, the words that come from the sutra or from the Torah or from the Bible, and we forget the truth. That's right. You see, the truth can be forgotten if you're just living by the thought process. Because once you are at note A, you will miss out note B. That's the point I was trying to bring out at the beginning of this video. But you have to live its breath so that you can be as one, and thus discover me. What is me? Me is the one true creator. Why? Because the one true creator, the one source of reality, sits in me. For there is no other breath that I know of other than the one reality. Like in the other videos that I've created, I've always said that thoughts cannot save a person. Lots of ideas that you have cannot really bring you to the solution of life. Because you will only have a perspective, and you will only be a fighting person. Because you fight against other thoughts to protect your own thoughts. You will also fight other people to protect your own self. For self is also a thought-based space-time. The self that you know is also thought-based. It's a persona that you create for yourself, whatever you want to be, and you present your persona to the world. You are just simply creating a space-time. And when you create a space-time, you are in a state of refusal to accept a nullification. You don't want to break down yourself because you conceive yourself as a particular thing, a particular person. So forever you are enslaved by what you created. And that's what I was saying in this video. Space-time is a kind of trap, a terrible trap indeed. Because you created it, you loved it, and you lived in it. But you forget that it is your own creation. And whatever you create, you cannot really benefit from what you create. Whatever you get from your own creation, you have to return it back to your own creation. Whatever you create, you must ultimately destroy. And what is left is only the breath. What is left is me. And nothing else, nothing further. If only a man can see himself as breath, he has found the secret of life. Or the only difficulty lies in your understanding of what the breath is. And that's the purpose of the video that I'm creating, to bring you to a place deep in yourself so that you can discover me. To remind you, Jesus said, I am is the way, I am is the truth, I am is the life. And no man goes to God except through the I am. I mentioned in this video, I said, save myself. There's no one to save me but myself to save me. I mentioned that. But this salvation word is something that has to be understood. As I said in my previous video, the soul is forever. The soul cannot die. There's no such thing as death for the soul, because the soul is forever now. The soul is fully alive. Okay, so what is it that I need to be saved from? It is the knowledge of me. That's what I need to be saved. Because you see, you can be me. You can be the soul, divine from God, but you're not aware of it. And thinking about it is not enough. You have to be the soul and live as a soul. And then realize that soul is eternal. It's not about thinking alone. And that is salvation. Salvation is not about thinking that you'll be saved. Right? It's not about going to a place somewhere. No. The true place is me, and there's no other. And the realization of me is salvation. Not that I'm not alive. I am. Forever will be born again and again. But when a person is born again and still not aware of his me, and still struggle in space-time, then he's not aware that he's alive. He's not aware that he's here. He's not aware of the one who is in me. You just live your life, you thought that you're alive, but you're not aware. So that is not salvation. Salvation is to become aware fully of me. And that is all that is required of you.